I welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Okay, we are live on Facebook. Just want to welcome everyone today. My name is Susan Day Hamwee, and I am known as the Illuminator. Mynoo calls me that. And I have known Mynoo for a long, long time. I forget. I can't even count the years. Must be at least 15 or so. And she has been my teacher, my friend, my confidant, so many things. And I always feel blessed to be able to host these Pearls of Wisdom. So welcome. It is the 93rd Pearl of Wisdom. She's done 93 of these. Amazing. And today is the anatomy of desire. So Mynoo is going to share 7 facts of the anatomy of desire and how we get to utilize this understanding to transform our ability to manifest our desires. So I am looking forward to this, like our deepest heartfelt desires. Ooh, it just sounds so wonderful. Okay, let's see. So welcome everyone. I am letting a few more people in here. And Mynoo, are you there?
I am here.
Okay. So the anatomy of desire. Here we go.
Here we go. Thank you, Dea. Thank you for stepping in to host the session today.
My
Deeply
pleasure.
appreciate it. And we know that Catherine will join a little later. So let's begin. My computer is playing up today, so normally I have my preparation notes right there in front of me. I don't, I have it on my phone. So from time to time, I will look down as I speak. So let's begin with this desire stuff, you know? Let's look at desire itself. Its desire is not a want, it's not a need. There is a quality to it. And like, when Dea and I were chatting earlier on, she sort of crystallized it beautifully, where she said that it's really about something that there is a heartfeltness about it. It's like it's a heart opening quality to whatever it is that we desire. And I'm going to be talking about the 7 facts of the anatomy of desire. It's useful to understand what anatomy is, and how anatomy is defined. Anatomy itself it's a study of the structure or internal workings of something. So what we are about to do right now is dive into that internal structure and workings of desire itself. Desire by itself, as the dictionary defines it, is a strong sense of wanting or having, wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. And there is this heartfeltness about this wanting that we have, sort of like you don't necessarily have to be longing as in there's no desperation about it, but there's just a very sweet longing that is a vibe that is linked to whatever it is that we desire. So let me just turn off this thing here. Okay. So let's look at the first fact. This fact is daring. A desire is naturally daring, even if you feel that it is something very, very subtle. It could be a want, it could be a need, and that's all okay. But when it becomes a desire, the very nature of you calling something a desire, as opposed to, I want this, or I would like this, or I need this, itself is a declaration of the courageousness with which you are sharing this desire. There's a fearlessness about it. There is an adventurous quality to it also. So let's examine the daring fact a little bit deeper and how you can work with this. So the way I did it for myself, I mean, these pearls of wisdom are very specifically designed so that if you only focus on one pearl, it actually can create an experience of the world such that it works for everyone. So you work it, each pearl, and even with one pearl, you can actually have that impact. So if you're actually going to be creating a world that works for everyone, you absolutely are doing it for yourself. So when I looked at this, okay, there's a boldness, there's a courageousness to this quality, and there's a sense of adventure to it. So I thought, okay, first I want to understand the differentiation between desire and want and need in my own context. So rather than giving the label of desire to everything, okay, I can actually apply my own discernment and utilize these factual constructs of its anatomy. So when I did that separation of wants and needs, and then looked at what are my desires, it was very interesting what I saw. I saw that really there was only one desire that I had. And the desire was linked to what I call as my soul mission, which is about humans and humanity expecting and accepting miracles as their norm. So that's the only desire that I have. Everything else literally just falls in the want or the need category. And that's great, you want something, you declare it, you do whatever you're required to do for it, the universe takes it on, and it starts to deliver. The activation of our senses happens far more easily with a desire than it does with a want. And it very, in a very limited way, it happens with something that you need. So, in the context of need, there were things like need to lose weight, or need to book my flights, need to plan my itinerary for the rest of the year. There were those kind of needs. Need a better banking system that allows me to work with it more internationally. Wants were very different. I want to spend joyful time with my grandkids. I want to be there celebrating their birthday each year, every year. I want to have Christmas, New Year with my family. And of course, there were higher level wants in the context of I want to have my me time. I want to make that deep connection to my soul's presence. I want to actually presence myself in my soul presence. They were not things that I needed. So understanding this anatomy of a desire, which is the daring part of me to really examine and discern that which I truly desired. I then got into, what is it, where is it in my life that I have actually proactively engaged with this term desire? And I recall, a time in my life when I was going through a difficult marriage, that my go-to place, which was like a book that I would often refer to, and I would just open a page to just read something from it, and that would motivate me, was a book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. And I would often open a page and read what was on it. And I remember, like, again, there are no nothing is by chance. It's like really perfectly designed. I recall opening a page several times, several times, to such an extent that it's etched in my psyche. And this was a statement by Napoleon Hill in his Think and Grow Rich, which talked about if you should have a desire, if you do wish to have a desire, then make it be a burning one. Have a burning desire. So, okay, wow. I read that again and again and again over those 10 years because now is the time, as I'm about to talk about the anatomy of desire, for me to really get the nuance of this. So I said, okay, my desire is that humans and humanity expect and accept miracles as their norm. So, given that is the case, then is this a burning desire? Well, it certainly lights me up. It's an illuminating one, no question about that. But to make it a burning desire, which, like, literally, to me, a burning desire harnesses, activates the power of all of the elements, and it becomes almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. For me, for this to become a burning desire, I just needed to make it a bit more measurable, but that's just the way I operate. So it was like 8 billion people by the time I'm 72 expect and accept miracles as their norm. I'm talking about like 9.5 years here. And that just illuminated me, that fired me up. It became my burning desire. So many of my wants, in the context of my own personal growth, my spiritual growth, completely got taken in by that. It's like all of those wants will be delivered, no question about that. Actually, they've been fast tracked already, and I embarked on the 100 hours of another 100 hours of spiritual awakening. The moment this clarity landed, many of the needs become like something that's just a given. I don't have to be allocating my time to be running after those needs being fulfilled. It's as if and I developed a different vision. I started completely seeing the resources that I could tap into, that I could just literally magnetize, to fulfill the needs part. The wants became very much a part of this desire being fulfilled, and there were several wants that actually didn't matter anymore. The first anatomy, the fact of the desire anatomy is this: it is daring. The other piece to understand when you go into the daring part, when I was doing this discernment, separating wants from needs, from desires, and this is before I got to the one that I'm pursuing, and then I made that one a burning desire. What I saw was that there were certain things that I had written in there which actually were a means to the end. They weren't the end desire itself. So, a lot of the time we have things that we want, other things that we need, and we go in pursuit of those like wholeheartedly, but they actually may be a means to the end of what it is that you do desire. So really examine what you put in these. It's okay for you. So when I began doing this exercise, I actually began by what are my desires? There was just only one column. And then when I started writing it, I realized, oh, actually, that's more like a need. And then as I went deeper into it, I realized, desire has got a different quality to it. There are several things here that really are wants. So when you do it for yourself, you don't have to follow my journey. You can actually create the 3 columns and take that learning and work with it yourself. But just know, once you've done it, to identify what is a means to the end desire and what is actually the end desire. And that will enable you to get to your expecting and accepting miracles as the norm equivalent. People often say, it's great you say you have your gig. It's so great to know that you have it, but we don't have it. So what do we do? And I always say to people, well, even if you don't have that, even if you don't have that clarity of a statement that calls you into action, what your soul signed up for in this human form is to come alive. So what brings you alive? Get going with that. Now I'm giving you a structure to identify your own. What is it that is your gig? The other aspect of this courageousness of desire is that it is ageless. It is not defined by age. It is not confined by age. It is not expanded by age. Because a desire, it's got a direct link into your soul presence. A desire recognizes you as a soul being, having a human experience. That is another quality that differentiates a desire. So it's a direct, like a line into that source connection that you have. Let's look at the next one, the next fact about the anatomy of desire. We're now actually going to get into anatomy type words. So this one is the eyes, the eyes. The the eye anatomy of a desire. This is a sensory organ. When it comes to desire, the eye actually is enabling you to sense what is actually being shown here. What's actually being shown. So as you embark on your journey, having desired whatever it is that you've desired, you've declared it with courage and boldness, and the adventure begins. Your eyes show you when they show you stuff. When you look at what is being shown to you through the lens of the desire, you start to distill what is actually being shown to you. What are you to do with this? And it is through this, I use the eyes, which is what gave rise to this discernment between a means to the end desire versus the end desire itself. So I was interested in, 8 billion people expecting and accepting miracles as the norm. Completely lights me up. Yes. So when I got into that, it's like, okay, every day I spend a lot of awake time engaged in stuff, doing stuff. Even when I'm engaged in it. How is that? How is what I'm engaged in actually enabling, fast tracking, providing a leverage to realize my end desire? How can I, through the eyes, as a part of the anatomy of desire, identify those areas that I go into so that I can realize this desire, get greater certainty with which I realize it? So as I started looking into all of that, what I discovered for myself is that when you operate from a desire space, as I define it here, it calls you into action in a way that nothing else has up to this point in time. And what happens then is every moment becomes a moment of leverage. that provides you a unique leverage. It's up to you to understand if that moment is a moment of leverage and what the levers are. So you can work with those levers or work those levers to fast track your movement forward. I literally just took these two aspects of desire into our Federation Business Collective that I work with and asked them to take what it is that they have declared in their businesses that they desire. Got them to up-level that by inviting them to consider if it is truly a burning desire. Massive changes occurred. So yes, sure, they several of them discovered that the goals that they had identified were actually means goals, means to an end goal. And even the end goal wasn't a burning desire when they went on to examine whether it's a burning desire. The burning desire was something else. So the end goal that they had identified for the business was in fact a means goal again. There's nothing wrong. You do require means to the end goal. There's nothing wrong in that. It's just that if you make that the goal, then you may never experience fulfillment, which is really what you're going for. So, for example, my business partner, Gaurav, for him, it was, he's working on Jago, Joy is Grace Omnipresent, as the go-to platform. It is a business. And there are business goals. And there's a very specific one that he's going for in terms of the financial and that he wishes to deliver on that particular business. And when he isn't this interim financial goal that is definitely a means to the end goal. What he's really going for, and what that is a burning desire that lights him up, fires him up, is at least 1 billion people living a life of Jago, learning from our platform to do so in a regenerative way. That lights him up. That's the burning desire. Now, with that in place, then the means goals actually become so much easier, because the way he's looked at the entire business, we did it for 2 days with the collective, and he looked at everything that he was engaged in. It immediately shifted. What is it that is a priority that becomes a point of leverage? So the eyes show you that, because the eyes, any part of your anatomy is alive and kicking moment by moment. It operates moment by moment. If your eyes just relax and do nothing, for a minute, you might experience dryness, itchiness, a whole variety of things. They are actively engaged, supplying blood and, oxygen and a whole variety of, water, hydration, a whole variety of things, moment by moment. So there's a stimulus in your eyes, moment by moment. It's up to you. You can take, every hour you can look at what's actually been shown to you in the last hour. That's up to you. But just know the engagement at an anatomy level, talking about the 7 facts about the anatomy of desire. When you get this, your desires, you will want to engage with at a desire level in how you choose to come alive. You will also want to take on that desire to become a burning desire. Because it enables you to step into the moment. And every moment is a moment of leverage towards your burning desire. Let's look at the third anatomy, the third fact about the anatomy of desire. This is the nose. The nose. The nose is a very important vehicle. It's and very much a part of the respiratory system. It is a vehicle, it's a channel that actually feeds your body with this essential ingredient of oxygen and releases a very important toxin of carbon dioxide. So there is a there's a respiratory uh, conduit that a nose is, that enables you to keep going, keep your life in place. Similarly, from a desire point of view, there will be certain things that become the respiratory function of the nose equivalent. They are like your pulse. Expecting and accepting miracles as the norm. 8 billion people engaged in it. This is still work in progress. So I'm still in the inquiry of what are those points that I have to keep my finger on. And really, I'm going to get to that one pulse that will give me that I'm on track. Breathing in, breathing out is just one act. Breathing in, breathing out. You breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide. You can take the breath as a deep breath. You can take the breath as a rapid breath. You can take that breath as an expansive breath. You can make a choice to hold your breath. Your nose is an important partner in that. So all of that, if you use all of these as metaphors and apply them to desires, then there is a very simple breathe in, breathe out functionality that is performed by this anatomy. Now, what is it? What is that? For me, it is the miracle lens. Talking about it, sharing it with people, and enabling them to look at the world through the miracle lens, regardless of wherever they are. Doesn't matter if they have a little bit of a funky relationship with the word miracle, doesn't matter. I still talk about it as something that makes your heart sing. It was a very interesting experience that happened yesterday, and I used the nose anatomy of desire. So, I am at this place where, I'm in the last week of being in this medicine-free living space that I'm in. And a part of that, you go through various treatments. So, I do experience an Ayurvedic treatment every day. So I had my session. So I go up there and we are all set and I'm lying down and she's about to begin the session. And there's a knock on the door, which itself is quite, interfering because we are about to begin a session in a private space. And it turns out that one of the previous patients lost a ring. And somehow she envisioned that the therapist picked it up. Now, when you are in an Ayurvedic massage room, there is so much that is involved in terms of oil and powders and herbs and a variety of things that if you just leave your ring somewhere, it's very likely that it's got cleaned out and people just haven't noticed it. And in any case, this particular patient was reminded that her ring is lost 4 hours after she had had her treatment. So now for her to knock the door and be assertive and aggressive about blaming the massage therapist was quite a shock to all of us. And anyway, the person who owns the clinic said to the patient who was accusing that, look, we'll look for it. The garbage truck hasn't arrived yet. So we're going to empty those garbages and we'll look for your ring. But I have had my staff for many years. This has never happened before. And it's not the first time that a patient has taken out items of their jewelry. So if the person had a tendency, they would have done it by now, and it hasn't occurred. Anyway, it subsided. They went. The massage therapist was so hurt by it. She just went into the bathroom and she just couldn't stop herself from crying. So she was just crying, 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 and she had a nosebleed. And I stood up and I just had my hand on her back, and she just cried her heart out and then, cleaned herself up and then came and sat down. And I just thought, okay, this is a moment where I'm going to share with her a miracle lens. Because yes, her heart is still beating. I know she's deeply hurt that of being accused in this way. So I did talk to her about this. That okay, if I'm giving you this lens, and this lens is going to show you something very special that is there about you that has made a difference to so many people's lives. So just look at what about you that you have, that you share, with all of us, that is making a difference. And she started talking. She said one or two things. And then she started saying a few more and then a few more. And then she literally stood up and she says, what somebody else says doesn't define who I am. I know who I am. And thank you. I get it. And she said that I took this up because I know the difference it makes. She was crippled with pain, with a particular nutritional deficiency when she was a child. And it was this Ayurvedic treatments that got her to be so strong. So she wanted to share that with the world. So she reconnected to her desire, and that daring, boldness, and courageousness came up. That's the magic of engaging with this anatomy of the desire, which is the nose anatomy. It opens you up, opens the gateway to uncover what is your true resolve. What is your true resolve? You literally sniff out the ulterior motive of your desire. And you're able to literally clean it out and get to what is it that you're resolved about. Something pretty substantial had happened, and with this particular woman, and there she was. So if she's delayed in treating me, then the next patient is delayed. I mean, I chose not to have my treatment so that she didn't have to deal with the guilt and explanations to everyone that followed me. I've been here for a month. I've had lots of blessings of different kinds of experiences that this young lady has gifted me. So it was okay if I didn't have my treatment one day. But it didn't take very long. It was only a matter of minutes. And she landed to what she's really resolved about. Why is she even here doing what she's doing? And why is she a part of this place as opposed to just any odd spa? Because she said, this space, because it is all about people really releasing themselves of medicines. And she sees the complete transformation of severely ill patients in a matter of days. It fulfills her desire. She's always reminded of how she restored herself from being crippled by the pain that she had. Connected her to her resolve very rapidly. Let's look at the fourth anatomy, the fourth fact about the anatomy of desire. The anatomy we are talking about here is the tongue. The tongue, the taste of things to come. That's how this fact of the anatomy of desire operates. When you step into a desire and it becomes a burning desire, you already start tasting those flavors of the experiences of life that is to occur. You taste it so vividly that it becomes your current reality. It's like a preview of experiences that await. It arouses curiosity. You're in a safe container. It's sort of like an incubator of those experiences. And the best part is, It's like, it's literally, I love the tongue analogy here, because sometimes when you think of your favorite food, even though you don't have it in front of you, you're not eating it, you can literally taste the flavors, and you start salivating. From a desire point of view, the fact of the tongue anatomy creates the same impact. It is in your reality right here, right now. The important thing is, just do the first part really well, where you get into that daring, boldness, courageousness, adventureness to define what that desire is, differentiate it from your want and your need, and get to what is the burning desire, and then work with these sensory anatomy that I'm talking about. And you will catapult your ability to realize and manifest your desire. The fifth fact in the anatomy of desire is the ears. The ears are all about what is actually being communicated. They sift out the noise. And they literally, take that noise out, and like a very clear, like a laser equivalent sound starts to appear. And it's a focus that it draws you into, which becomes like a straight way to manifesting exactly what you do desire. So, years, how do you work with this? I'm going to use the same example of the therapist, the Ayurvedic massage therapist, but the Ayurvedic treatment therapist. I was working on this with her. And initially, she said, I can't believe it that this patient kept accusing me and told so many people about this. Anyone could have complained about what I have not done properly, but then to go around accusing me without actually having any grounding. So she was like going down this spin of really feeling judged and accused and belittled and all of that. Once she got into the rhythm of the miracle lens, I said, now you've shared with me what is it that you truly desired, which is why you took up this profession. What was actually being communicated to you with this, this accusations that were being, directed at you? And she said that, what I heard is, even though I may feel attacked, there is always people who have my back. Like the owner, who this woman doesn't have that much of a relationship with the owner. She said, I had no idea that she was going to stand up for me in the way she did. And like you giving up your session to help me with this, I had no idea that patients even cared. And this is what's really being communicated to me is, never forget why you started this work in the first place. And that's what is lifting me away from, if somebody's coming up with accusations or somebody's saying stuff which is untoward, they're saying it. I don't have to receive it. I just take the insight from it and keep doing what I'm doing, because I want everyone to have the experience that I had. That has led me into adulthood. I'm not a burden on my parents like everybody said I would be. Simply working with this aspect of the anatomy of desire, she uncovered so much. You can imagine the richness in the work that she is doing, and the richness in her experiences for the rest of the day. I mean, maybe the whole month might have been destroyed for her with this experience. And she could have gone down a spin into a train wreck. And it didn't need to happen that way. The sixth here. The sixth one is the skin. The fact of the skin. Every desire has a skin. What does the skin do? It gives you a feel of the feelings that your desire invokes. Desire by itself is not a want, it's not a need, it's something that has a heartfelt quality about it. And in being that way, it automatically invokes certain feelings. The skin anatomy enables you to feel, get that feel for those feelings. And you begin by feeling getting that feel of those feelings within you. And you attune yourself to feeling a feel of something, so that even if the desire is unfulfilled, what's the feel of the feelings linked to an unfulfilled desire? If you're only present to the unfulfilled desire, it can immediately consume you. But if you just are able to, at a distance, feel the feel of your desires not being fulfilled, you get to see that was another thing that you learned not to do, not to engage in, which brings you closer. Like Edison said, all of his failures only brought him closer to the discovery of the light bulb. So it brings you closer to your desire actually being fulfilled. You don't need to repeat that same mistake again and again. When you plug into the feel of that feeling of your desire being unfulfilled. Similarly, when you plug into the feel of the feeling of your desire being fulfilled, and you engage with the feel of it, there's like a very different vitality that arises. It's like life force generating vitality that arises, that actually you can utilize in every area of your life. What it also does, because the skin is so prolific, right? Think about the skin, we have it everywhere. It also enables you to get a feel for what it would feel like when other people react to you fulfilling your desire or not fulfilling your desire. So your skin gives you that feel, which enables you to remain stationed in your center, standing tall, moving forward, taking the next step next. It actually pauses at the right times so that you're not rushing into anything. It enables you to focus on discernment between fact and meaning. When something occurs, the reaction or the reactiveness occurs when we give meaning to the fact of what's occurred. And then we react to the reaction, which is based on a meaning, disconnected from the fact. And then other people react to the reaction that is connected to a meaning that is not actually the fact. And everyone is in this, meaning zone, disconnected from the fact. You are far, far away from your desires. It's a very important anatomy, the skin. And what we're doing here in the context of applying these sensory abilities of ours to something like a desire, which is connected to your heart, we are accentuating our ability to use these faculties that we have in their sensory state. They are sensory organs. Very powerful understanding. Very powerful understanding. The seventh fact of the anatomy of desire. The label I'm going to be working with here is flow systems. Flow systems in our physical body, in our physical anatomy, include the circulatory system, the lymphatic system, the endocrine system, the nervous system. So here, when you're working with this particular fact of the anatomy of desire, you embark on examining what contributes to your flow. What contributes to your flow? And if you look at the circulatory system, it has a very different function in the context of flow. It's a very different type of a system compared to the nervous system, compared to the lymphatic system, compared to the endocrine system. So when you examine the anatomy of your desires, and you start looking at what is it that I already know that brings flow in the context of distributing the essential vital ingredient of oxygen and nutrients, like the circulatory system does. What does that? Who does that? Where do I find it? Like literally go into the what, why, who, how. Examining each one in the context of your desire. By simply acknowledging all of that, you've already invoked and activated those. And they will keep propelling you forward, magnetizing exactly the right nuance in the resources that you require to move forward. Let's examine the lymphatic system equivalent in the context of your desire. What systems, what structures, what methodologies, which partnerships, what environments actually detoxify, take out toxicity that interferes or that could interfere in the future, that blocks the realization of my desire. And then you look at from an endocrine system point of view. Endocrine system are all our glands and hormones and all of that. They literally are essential to maintain harmony in terms of our entire collection of systems. The 124 trillion cells rely on this harmonization that is enabled and facilitated by the endocrine system. So what are those harmonization points that I must be vigilant about to ensure that I'm constantly on the pathway to realizing my desires? What do I watch out for? If there is an imbalance, how do I correct that imbalance? What do I do more of? What do I stop doing? And then let's look at the nervous system. The nervous system is like a hammock. Its innate vibration is a vibration of really releasing. It's a vibration of okayness. Like it's about anchoring you in okayness. Is the innate vibration of the in originating intent of the nervous system is anchoring you in a state of okayness, providing you that infinite hanging out ability. So what is it What environments, what social settings can you just simply be who you are, hang out, share your desire, experience the desire being received, desire being fulfilled, amplified, multiplied? Where does it feel safe for you to do that? By examining all of that, you've really created your flow system's equivalent. So if you ever feel that there is any incumbent in your desires being fulfilled, or if you feel overwhelmed, or if you feel you're not actually making progress, remember, dis-ease is always first set in the flow system. You go examine, have you shut off your toxicity removal lymphatic system equivalent in the context of a desire? Is that clean and active and pumping along? What are you doing to pump it along? Because that requires proactive action, just like the regular lymphatic system doesn't have a natural pumping device like the heart does in the circulatory system. You have to pump it. So have you got that in place? Or have you stopped it? Is there a lethargy there? So use become if there is any disease, you look at where does it lie? In the circulatory system, lymphatic system, endocrine system, or the nervous system. And you know the roles of these, you can put in place whatever remedial actions you wish to. Or you simply stop doing some of the things that contributed to it. This was a very powerful understanding of the anatomy of desire. And I'm saying, this pearl of wisdom is called, the 7 facts of the anatomy of desire. I'm keeping you in a state of fact here. So often, what introduces lethargy in your lymphatic system equivalent when it comes to your desire is how you beat yourself up with the meanings you've made when other people might have laughed off whatever it is that you've shared about your desire. It shuts off the lymphatic system. Toxicity cannot flow out. So what happens? Other people, you start shutting them out, but the toxic buildup begins internally and there's no way out. On the other hand, the more you share what you truly desire, the more you get clearer about what is it that you ask, that your ask is, where you are going with it, the healthier way in which your circulatory system flows. And the nourishment and nutrition and oxygen and vitalization of your being occurs. So if I take mine, 8 billion people expecting and accepting miracles as their norm. My God, what an audacious thing to say, declare on a public platform like this. And okay, I've worked myself to this point. I've done all of this stuff, So in that context, here I am sharing that that's the game I'm playing. Every moment is a moment of leverage. So the pearls of wisdom, every word that I'm saying to you, I'm learning from it as much as you are. So I'm becoming clearer about, okay, it's time for me to be the chief executive of this ambition. And just like any corporate chief executive, I'm going to take on creating my 90-day plan. So it is unequivocal to me and to all that surround me that I actually am, I mean business, and I'm on track. And it's specific, it's measurable, it's experiential. I mean, it's interesting. expecting and accepting miracles as the norm for 8 billion people and growing. Could be fluffy, airy fairy, and the fact that it became a burning desire, the fact that it became very specific, and the fact that I've now gotten to, okay, this is what constitutes my flow system. This is what's in the circulatory system. I haven't yet completed all of it, but I've got a pretty good sense of what's in the lymphatic system and how I pump that lymphatic system. And the endocrine system is what I'm working on still. I've got a sense of it, but the hormonal balancing is really going to be about harmonizing as opposed to balancing. Otherwise, I'll be playing the balancing act, not interested, because that'll just take my attention on one thing, as opposed to the harmonization of it all. Having my me time. Now, with this context, I work with all the methodologies that I know myself and of what I have been taught and what I have learned from other masters. So similarly, you look at what it is for you. When you engage with, don't rush this. Don't rush this. Constantly washing our eyes is only going to make us feel really uncomfortable. Just constantly putting drops in our nose to clear it will make us uncomfortable. So focusing on any one anatomy really is not going to help you very much. Work with the 7 facts. No rush. Go one after the other, until you really engage with all of them in the context of your desire. The moment you take it on, remember, a baby is born with all of these different pieces that come together to make the anatomy that gives it its physiology and physical body. They're active. It's active. It doesn't need to push or pump anything very specific. It does recalls it to allow and trust. Now, we've developed certain bad habits, certain preconceived notions, and we are talking about something that is not physical in form and yet has a direct impact on our physical form. That is why I'm asking you to work it step by step. But simply know, just like the baby, all of these facts of anatomy of desire are active. Your work actually enables you to provide the perfect nutrition, nourishment, encouragement, so that your soul being can soar with the amplification power of love, which your human form provides it. This is the anatomy of desire. It's fairly simplistic, not as complex as the human body. So you can work it. Just take the next step next. That's the key thing. Over to you, Dea.
Well, holy wow. Wow. So expansive and so doable. What great focus for us to focus on these 7. And I just breathing it in and taking it in. It's so beautiful and so rich. And thank you so much. It's simple, yet it's so deep. The depth of it is very deep. Simply, wow.
Thank you.
The burning desire. That's you really got us really clear on focusing on burning desire, which I thought was really, really important. And our wants and our needs are part of that. But the burning desire is what pulls us forward. So thank you, Mynoo. So appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.